guys, welcome back to my channel. So obviously we were in some serious need of an upgrade of patio seating. So today I'm going to show you how you can go from something like this to something like this. Now this is a Modern Adirondack Chair, and I got the plans from Anna White, so I will put that link below. Anna White has amazing plans. They're free. It's got a cut list, shopping list, everything you need to build these chairs. And her plans were the first plans that I used when I first started woodworking. So I was really excited to see these plans come out. And if you're interested in making some of your own, keep on watching.
1, 2, 3, come on!
I started off by cutting all my 2x4s to the right lengths. I knew that I would be milling down my lumber a little bit, so I thought I would wait on the 1x10s, the seating part of the chair, to cut later to fit, since I knew that the measurements might be different once my chair was put together. For one chair, you should end up with 5 pieces cut at 19.5 inches, and 2 pieces at 31 3/4 inches, 2 pieces at 32 3/4 inches, and then 2 pieces cut at 33 1/4 inches, both ends cut at a 20-degree off square. So basically, to do that, I moved my table saw to 20 degrees, and I cut one end of my board, and then measuring from the short side or the long side to the opposite end, making sure my angles were parallel to one another, I cut another 20-degree angle. So from the long side to the short side is 33 1/4 inches. Once my pieces were cut, I ran everything through my drum sander. You can obviously use a handheld sander if that is all you have, or if you're really smart and picky about your lumber, then you can skip this step altogether. Although this tool is by far my favorite, to be able to take a rough piece of lumber like this and watch it come out so smooth on the other end. I don't know what it is, but it is super satisfying to me. I mean, look at that. It does not get much better than that. Because some of my edges were pretty rough, I decided to shave the rounded corners off of all of my 2x4s. To smooth it out a little bit. Again, if you are very careful about the lumber that you're able to pick because you don't have the right tools, then you can totally skip this step. I laid out my pieces on the floor so that I could measure 13.5 inches from the bottom of my leg to know where to put my angled 20-degree piece. Then I used my laser level to mark a line on the board where I would be able to cut a 90-degree off of that angled piece so that my chair would sit flat on the floor. I took the 2 angled pieces over to the chop saw where I lined up that angle and cut it so I had 2 equal chair legs. Then at this point, I went back over and I started gluing and screwing all of my boards together. I did pre-drill my holes, and I also used stainless steel screws so that it would withstand the weather better. So this was the fun part. This is me trying to figure out how to get good enough pressure on this angled piece so that I could screw in the boards. Using the stainless steel screws, it sinks in rather than pulls and sucks the boards to you. And so I needed a good amount of pressure against the piece of wood so that I could get my screws in tight. And let's just say it was a struggle. Now this is just embarrassing. You want to be really careful at this point to make sure that your sides of your chair are laid in the right direction so that the leg 2x4s are in the center rather than the outer edges of your sides. So then I went and I took two pieces that were 19.5 inches and I cut pocket holes in each end of the boards. I took one of those pieces and I placed another 2x4 under it so that it was at the right height, and I lined up the corners flush with the angle of the other boards, just like this. Now, please ignore this piece circled right here, as that was just a total brain fart that I had. But I took the 2x4 with the pocket holes, I glued, clamped them, and made sure that everything was tight, and then screwed that piece into the sides of those legs. And you can see right here where I messed up and put the board in the wrong spot. So I went ahead and undid that and re-glued it, screwed it in the correct position. So I knew I wanted to paint my frame and then leave my seated parts natural. And so I had to put the rest of the chair together without screwing in those seating pieces. So I went ahead and I measured and I cut them from one side of the chair to the other side of the chair. And I'm glad I waited to do so, because after milling my boards, it did end up being a little bit shorter than the measurements given in Anna White's plans. I ended up spacing my boards with about a 1/4 inch gap, and then I clamped them down so that I could measure where I needed to put my other 2x4s for the back supports. I simply took those two back supports and I slid them down at an angle, and then using my other 19.5 inch pieces, I used a spacer to measure where the back needed to lay. And then I also put my support piece behind those 2x4s to keep them sturdy. Then I pulled up those two back supports up until they were flush with the bottom of my chair and began screwing in the sides of those. Hopefully the video will explain it a little better than I do, because it's a little mumble jumbled. Insert husband for help once again. I again used a 19.5 inch board to use as a spacer and push down on the arm legs so that we could screw these back supports in at the right size. And it was a little difficult, but we were able to get it done, and here's the finished product. And with the help of my children, I was able to paint both chair bases black to achieve that modern feel that I was going for. I do highly recommend that if you are going to be using pine like I did to build these chairs, that you use a good quality outdoor exterior paint, and also finish your boards and wood with a nice exterior finish grade sealer. Now that the chairs are finished, all I have left is to attach the slats for the seat in the back. Like I said, I forgot to make a video of me cutting these pieces, but I did cut them out of a 1x10 pine board. And then to avoid any splintering, I decided to pre-drill all my holes with a counter bit, and then I used deck screws to screw them into the base of the chair. And when you're putting on the back slats, I would recommend starting with the top piece and then spacing downwards so that it looks more uniform and you don't have any of your back supports showing behind the slats. I had a couple brain farts through this whole build, and so it took a little longer than what I expected, but I am so happy with the results. It definitely has that modern feel that I was going for, and I just think it looks really nice. I didn't get a recording of putting a finish on, but I definitely recommend doing so. And I hope you guys enjoyed this build. Please comment, like, subscribe. I appreciate all the support. And until next time.